I'm going to show you how to make this incredible tuna melt, or you could just use it as an awesome tuna dip like this for crackers. It's definitely a party pleaser. So I'm calling this a rustic banana pepper tuna melt. It's really good whenever you have freshly grated shredded cheese. You put it on top of some tuna that's packed with flavor and bake it in the oven until that tuna melts, as well as having some toasted bread. You're going to start off with 2 cans of tuna. I like this brand because it's wild caught tuna. You're going to make sure that you drain it really well. You really don't want any of that extra tuna juice to be in with your mix, as it can kind of make things soggy. All of these next ingredients are going to be really easy to remember for you to refer back to because they're all a half of a cup. Here I'm adding half a cup of onion, finely diced. And this came out to be about half of an onion. Then I used about 6 smaller celery stalks and chopped them up until I had a half of a cup. Especially with the celery, you want to make sure that they're really uniform small pieces. It doesn't taste very good when you get a huge bite of celery. It's much better whenever everything's chopped the same size and it blends in wonderfully into your tuna. I also added half of a cup of the carrots that were chopped up. I used baby organic carrots and it ended up being about 10 of them. Then I added in a tablespoon of Dijon mustard, a fourth of a cup of mayonnaise, half a teaspoon of salt, and then a few turns of some freshly ground black pepper, and gave it a really good mix to incorporate everything. So once we have our assembled sandwich, we have the melted shredded cheese on top of some toasty bread. We add a few banana peppers, but into this tuna mix, I'm going to add just a splash of the brine. This acidity is really going to help lift up this tuna dip and balance it out in the way that it needs. If you were making this just for a dip, I'd recommend chopping up about a fourth of a cup of banana peppers and adding them straight in, since you won't be able to add them on top of a sandwich. So you're going to mix everything up really well together until it's really well incorporated. The best thing you can do as a home cook is be sure to taste. Always taste your food, see what it needs. This dip on its own was so good, I had to stop myself from just grabbing crackers and just eating it all because I knew that I wanted to make this sandwich. So I grabbed some artisan cheese bread and I just toasted it off. I'm going to go ahead and assemble my sandwiches by putting some hearty helpings of that nice tuna dip that we just made right on top, and then it's going to get covered with the freshly grated shredded cheese. I always like to freshly grate or throw my cheese into the food processor because with the shredded bags there's some type of anti-caking agent. I've heard there's sawdust. I don't really know, but I stay away from that stuff. It also doesn't melt as well, so freshly grated is always going to yield a fresher and better taste. So we're going to add a pretty good serving of this shredded cheese because we want the top piece of bread to be able to have something to stick to. And then I'm just going to top it with some banana peppers and throw it in the oven. My oven is preheated to 350 degrees. My bread's already toasted. This is just to help the cheese melt and to keep everything nice and warm. I ended up having it in the oven for about 8 minutes. Just keep an eye on it. As soon as that cheese is nice and melted, you can go ahead and take it out. And that's it. I've never seen a tuna sandwich with banana peppers before in this fashion. I really like the way that the flavors really work well together. They complement each other. It's contrasting. It's delicious. It's definitely a crowd pleaser. My dad was in town visiting and I was happy to serve him.